Star Rail players, you might be upset at this video. I want to tell you first of all that this video, unlike some I've done before, is not satire. You might strongly disagree with my takes, and that's perfectly fine. Because what would life be if we all thought the same way and all followed the general consensus of what is expected of us? I thought for a long time before making this video if I should even express what I really think about Honkai Star Rail. Because I knew for sure that with the amount of praise this game constantly gets, most of which is exaggerated in my opinion, that many fans would deride me for the things I'm about to say. But then I came across a random snippet of Asmongold saying something he said many times before.
You're worried you're going to create an echo chamber for yourself? No, why would I be worried about that? No. Why would I want to hear people, why would I want to have people arguing with me all the time? That's so weird. It's so weird that, like, people on the internet get this fixation around, like having an open... I don't want to have an open discourse. I don't want people arguing and fighting with me all the time. That's annoying. No, why would I want to live like that? Differing opinions help minds things better? No, it doesn't.
And I have to disagree with the point Asmongold is trying to make here. You can see things from his perspective, sure, but at the same time you can also state the opposite. What's the point of expressing an opinion when everyone around you nods their head in agreement? What's more is that I personally believe that you shouldn't expect this outcome. So I'm willing to take the hate for this opinion I might have, but maybe some people out there also feel the same way about this turn-based gacha game. Now, with the preface out of the way, I want to get into why I think Honkai Star Rail has become one of the most overrated games I've ever played.
I will set the seas ablaze.
I'm going to start out my opinion on Honkai Star Rail by saying it's not lost to me that this game has very good production value. The music is very well done, there's not many bugs or glitches, and the character animations are all well polished and have a lot of attention to detail. But this is a Hoyoverse game. This is why Hoyoverse is a multi-billion-dollar company. They know what works, their games run well on phones, are well optimized, and they know how to make characters that appeal to various tastes. They also really know how to market their characters very well. But when it comes to this game in particular, all this is just icing on the cake. And Honkai Star Rail is a very thin cake with a lot of icing. And a clear example of this is the combat system. It is one of the most sleep-inducing and simplistic combat systems out of any turn-based RPG I've ever played. It's hollow, repetitive, boring, and lacks the so-called strategy that so many players keep saying it has. Each character is reduced to having 2 options maximum per turn, and then an ultimate, which you can use whenever. The ultimate is maybe the only real thought process that goes into combat for certain characters, but you don't really want to hold on to the ultimate for very long, because you'd essentially be wasting energy gain to build up to another ultimate anyways. Most main DPS characters you must save a skill point for, if you want to play that character optimally. Choosing the auto attack option for a main DPS character is essentially wasting DPS. In 99% of cases, a main DPS character boils down to 1 option per turn, which is laughable and in my opinion does not deserve to be called strategic combat. You can't switch between characters freely as you have to speed tune before battle, and let's not start with how annoying it is to fish for relics that have all the stats you need and also include enough speed for proper speed tuned builds. Shield breaking is so simplistic a concept, it got old really fast. You just bring the characters that align against the enemy's weakness type, that's all. And honestly, as the game goes on, you can see this not even being something to strategize about anymore. Given the example of Firefly implanting fire weakness onto any enemy she desires, or Acheron just ignoring weakness type altogether on her ultimate. I'm sure more future characters will just find a way to bypass weakness types, so you won't have to think much about this mechanic for long. But let's go back to Acheron, as she can just immediately kill any trash mob encounter. effectively making any lesser encounter not even matter at all. To me, this just states that they know the combat system is paper thin and most people don't have time to waste watching their characters auto battle a fight they know they can't possibly lose. And auto battle is very stupid. It will do things like use Ron May's entire ultimate when the last mob has only a sliver of HP left, when it could have just saved the ultimate for another fight and let the next character in line kill the mob. But the thing is, the combat is so simplistic that auto battle doesn't need to be smart. There's so little real strategy involved that auto battle can make all these mistakes and still get away with beating 95% of the game's encounters. Yet, auto battle still wastes time. It plays out unnecessary character animations when it doesn't need to, and some characters are just unusable with auto battle, like Silverwolf, who just drains your entire team of skill points, unnecessarily using her implant weakness, even on enemies who already have this status effect. But you could ask, well, why the heck are you using Silverwolf anyways? And I'd agree with you, because she's been completely power crept for a very long time now, which will bring us into another topic of discussion. What more is there to say about this? The power creep in HSR is self-evident. My Jingliu team feels very subpar in comparison to my Acheron and Firefly teams. Most rerun banners feel pointless because you're better off just skipping reruns and waiting for the next new character that will power creep them anyways. There's not much room for creative gameplay in HSR, so power creeping is just a better way to sell new characters. I built my 4-star characters at the start of playing HSR way back in 1.0 and 1.1. I assumed that these 4-star characters might remain somewhat relevant in the patches to come, but characters like Su Shang, Base Dan Heng, and Sampo have all been power crept to oblivion. Bringing these characters to any form of semi-challenging content in the game is a waste of a team slot and a waste of time. As a matter of fact, most 4-star characters in HSR, except for a few like Gallagher and Herta, are just woefully below average. But I would honestly expect them to release a 5-star version to replace these characters soon anyways. And even the new 4-stars like Shui Yi and Misha just feel pointless to build. Like, why would I even run them when I could just bring Acheron or Firefly? Some of you might like the idea of steady power creep, because it entices you to pull for and build new characters. But I'd rather have a balanced combat system where the idea of pulling for new characters changes the playstyle and synergy between those characters, over just straight up doing higher numbers and slowly making older characters become more and more irrelevant. I will not call HSR's combat system strategic, and I've frankly had enough of watching the same animation from the same camera angle repeat over and over and over and over again. While I just want to find something else to look at and browse something on YouTube to just let my characters auto battle, because I really don't want to sit there and watch this boring combat play out on its own. I think I've said my piece about the combat system of HSR. So now it's time to move on to the story. And this is where I expect to get the most backlash. Once I give my take about the story, you can pivot back to Genshin and repeat, well, Genshin's story sucks, Genshin's story sucks, and you can continue to do that ad nauseum and ad infinitum. Yet regardless of what you think of Genshin's writing, Penacony was pretentious drivel, and it was going from scene to scene of exposition dump after exposition dump, where characters recited grade school poetry and dished out platitudes like it was an all-you-can-eat buffet. The fact that there was not one, but 2 long, fake end credits with Black Swan going right into a recap of the story that literally just happened was the final straw. It's the epitome of try-hard, nonsense tier writing, and the stiff delivery of dialogue to try and sound somber was flat out boring. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is ever going to convince me that Penacony was good writing. It was Shaoji loving the smell of his own farts, and that's the hill you're going to have to pry my dead body off of. If this is what people think peak fiction is, then whatever peak you guys are living on must have some really good stuff to smoke. Like I'm talking high grade shit. HSR's story is a joke, which is ironic because the game has not made me laugh even once. Any and all comedic attempts and skibbity toilet meme responses the Trailblazer gives is facepalm worthy and a purely forced and unnatural attempt at humor. The one thing I'm going to miss least about leaving HSR is the narrative. But who knows, maybe Elio already foresaw this and it was his plan all along for the characters to serve the plot first and foremost, while he writes his at best B-tier anime storyline. Lastly, I want to say that it's clear to me that Dawei and whoever else are the higher-ups at Hoyoverse are trying to make a Honkai title the face of the company. We've seen that 75% of the advertising budget goes towards pushing Honkai Star Rail to the forefront, and we've seen that they're clearly willing to give out a lot of freebies, such as Doctor Ratio and a 10-pull every patch in order to entice people to try out and stick with the game. But all of this feels way too forced to me. A lot of what this game does feels like it's constantly trying to grab my attention and tell me I should like this game, doing so in an almost forceful and unnatural manner. And the HSR community does this too. You get derided online for saying that you might like Genshin Impact more than HSR. You're almost expected to hate Genshin if you play HSR. And every other video online is comparing HSR to Genshin and calling Genshin players babies while they play their Candy Crush minigame PvP and scream at the top of their lungs how amazing it is to press the autoplay button so they can go take a dump while they farm out some relics. And let's just say I was disappointed in Genshin Impact. Why would I want to try out a different game and give my loyalty to another game from the same company that let me down and disappointed my expectations for 3 years straight? If I was, for whatever reason, extremely disappointed in a video game, I would look down upon that entire company, and it would dissuade me from wanting to try out another game from said company, let alone toss out blind loyalty to whatever game that company would make in the future, and artificially market and advertise while they continue neglecting the game I enjoyed in the first place. I no longer have any interest in the daily upkeep of my Star Rail account, because the core of this game is boring. And I'm also tired of other people trying to convince me that I should like this game more than Genshin Impact, when I clearly don't. Honkai Star Rail is a cake made out of icing. It looks good, it sounds good, and at first, you may even think it's enjoyable. But the more you consume, the more it becomes sluggish and distasteful. And especially the diehard community of this game, who are ready and waiting to pop out of the woodwork whenever you dare to say that you don't enjoy their hollow, vapid, yet neatly packaged entertainment product. So, I'm uninstalling HSR. There are much better turn-based games I've played in my life. If I wanted an actual great turn-based game, I'd pick up Magic the Gathering again. A game where your choices per turn actually matter, and strategy is more than just the decision between two options. Honkai Star Rail is, in my opinion, one of the most overrated video games ever made. I'm on this hill for real, and I'm not coming off. This is not satire. This is not bait. I'll accept any and all hate for this. As a matter of fact, I'm expecting it. But nothing is ever going to change my mind about this. I'm not going to engage in some social media war or cave to people online because they think I should be afraid of their opinion about my taste in video games. You can hate me all you want for not praising HSR, but you can't call me fake. Neither am I doing this to be a contrarian. This so-called space adventure, where each planet is just a series of hallways and corridors attached to a fancy-looking set piece, is being deleted off my hard drive. There's much better turn-based strategy games to play with fan bases that don't antagonize you if you won't nod your head in agreement with everything they say. Goodbye and good luck. Oh, and don't forget to press the auto battle button while you type out your comment about how wrong you think I am.
My heart belongs to me. You're never gonna let me go, and I will never let you go. And now I'm feeling stronger, feeling stronger. You're never gonna let me go, and I will never let you go. And
You know, I haven't tried Tower of Fantasy in a long time. And now that I've dropped one gacha game, I think I'm going to go and try Tower of Fantasy out. The city looks pretty cool, and the new update looks actually pretty interesting. So, yeah, expect a Tower of Fantasy video sometime in the near future.